Doug Roberts. We're out with Shane Harris, the Tallapoosa County Extension Agent. And we're going to demonstrate today, hopefully, if all goes well and we don't hurt ourselves, the proper way to prune a fruiting pear tree. So
you've talked about this pear tree a couple times on the air with me, and it's not near as bad shape as I thought it was.
And that's good. That means last time I did it, I read up on it and I talked with you a little bit, and either I listened or you guided me right, or both.
Yeah, I've seen a lot worse. This particular pear right here, you know, it's got some issues, but mostly what we're going to try to do is just do a little thinning today.
I'm try to get out from under it here.
With a pear tree is related to apples, they naturally want to grow up. Pear is notorious to grow up, and so you can see all the suckers growth and even the tops and all that. Pears go straight up. So very early when you start planting these pear trees, you want to start training and pruning properly so that the limbs go more out versus up, and that can easily be done. In this case, we're going to probably do a lot of thinning, correct a few problems. We got a few limbs that are competing with each other, and so we're actually going to do a little removal, but in this pear should look a lot better and perform a lot better next couple years.
One of the things I want to ask about too, this is January, third week of January.
That's right.
So one of the things I noticed on here, Shane, these are starting to put out little buds. Is that a problem, or is that normal for the pear tree?
It's normal to Alabama weather, and things can start blooming early. With the fruits, they require chilling hours in order to bud out and actually fruit properly. You know, in Alabama weather, sometimes we have good weather that will have a lot of cold. And if they get a lot of cold, they actually could bloom early. But when you have these 60, 70-degree days like we've had in the past, up and down, you know, it's cold one moment, and these things are going to start thinking it's spring fairly soon, and so these buds are going to start swelling and getting ready for spring. All right. First thing, Doug, we'll probably just look at, you know, the general rule for pruning, we want to look for any kind of damage or disease limbs, and we want to try to remove those first. If we got any kind of problem areas, that's what the first thing we'll look at. I don't necessarily see a lot of dead, but I do see a lot of things crossing. There's one here right between me and you. They're starting to cross, and these limbs are competing against each other.
They're actually even, you can see chafing on the branches where they're
where
they're rubbing.
And so wind and movement, all that, that's actually going to cause wounds, and those wounds can then lead to rot, disease, and that can be a problem. They're also competing in the same space, and so we'll actually do a little thinning here in a few minutes and take one of these out. Probably going to like to take out this big one behind us here, and thin. And when you do that, you're removing a lot of different growth. In this case, actually eliminating this problem over here.
With the general rule with the pear, do you want it to go up or do you want it to go out and drape, or what's the general?
You want a central leader, and we do have multiple central leader shears, and we'll actually take one of those out probably here in a minute. You don't want to get to have two central leaders. You need to remove those at an early age, but you do have a lot of sucker growth coming up. You want to go up and out, but it sort of look like a normal tree, but like peaches and plums, which are more out V-shaped, you want up and out, and this will naturally go up, but we need these limbs like you see here with Doug. This is a good limb here going out, you know, sort of get that pyramidal shape. Where you got a limb on this other side behind me here, this limb went straight up. That's not good. That's the one we may have to take out.
Is that something that we can brace to move, or is it too far past?
It's too far gone. You want to do that very early in the growth. When that new growth comes out, it's real tender. Maybe do some training in the spring and summer. Where these limbs are real weak, you can bring, like this case, if we wanted to salvage this limb, we would want to actually bring this limb down and maybe put a brace or something, and this will be the angle it goes. Pears are notorious for growing straight up, and when they grow straight up, they call it crotch angles, are very weak, and they can break in the storm. Bradford pears, the ornamental pears, are notorious for that, and the storms come through, all these branches are straight up, a real tight growth, and it breaks off immediately, and the trees are then damaged. We don't want that with the fruit, because these trees are much stronger at a 45-degree angle than they are a real tight angle. A lot of weight here, a lot of fruit weight, is going to break this limb. It'll snap off. This right here at a 60-degree angle, 45-degree angle is very strong.
That's actually a healthy, this angle here is actually a healthy branch.
Absolutely, because your weight's going to be right here above your head. All your fruit's going to be there. That limb is extremely strong.
Same thing we've got going here. You can't see this with the camera, but it's coming out. Those are at nice angles.
That's right. And we can make cuts to encourage growth to go out versus up.
Okay. What we're doing, we're marking some spots here that Shane suggested that we cut, and we're going to do this with little spray paint spots so we can come back and do it all at once. But you may want to explain why you want to cut those there.
The problem here is you've got too many central leaders. Right here is a big problem here. This is your main central leader. It's most desirable. Here you've got another one. This limb decided to go straight up as pears do. It should have went out. And so what we're going to do, we're going to manipulate this a little bit where this little small sprout here will now become the limb. And so we're going to take out these two central leaders and reduce this, so this will actually create a good angle for future limbs and future development. We also got some problems here coming up above us. We've got some crossing branches. The branches above me is a little bit better, so we're going to take our lower branches off. And then you got another central leader potential over here on this other side that's going directly up. Again, this is what pears like to do, go straight up. We're going to take that out. That's also going to eliminate some crossing branching and do some thinning as well. So, and then as we get on closer here, you can see you got the dual central leaders on up to the top. We'll actually come back and take some of those off as well. So really right now with a pear, we're doing a lot of thinning. And then this thinning will clean it up, and then we'll come back and do some small pruning with the loppers to make it a little better. And Doug's making these cuts right here, and usually near close to the crotch angle. And what that does, that has a lot of cell division, and so it really heals over and calluses real well, so no pain is necessary. If you leave a stub out like you did right here at some point, that will rot. And you also have a lot of sucker growth that will actually come off of here. So by cutting back into the crotch angles, like if we were taking this limb off, we would actually cut it right here where that high cell division is. You have less sucker growth come back from there, and that will callus over real well. The stub here, leaving stubs on any kind of tree, that actually will lead to rot. Rot will get into the center of the main trunk and then cause decay and then eventually death.
Get the old saw cranked up here.
You can see here what Doug, with the power saw, he removed all these central leaders that were a problem. And we really opened this thing up, okay? One of the important thing about fruit, fruit needs sunlight. And so a lot of times your apples and pears, even peaches, will get way too thick, and all your fruit's on the outside edge where it all receives the sunlight. Here we actually thinned it, had some problems with the central leaders, cross branching, things like that. We want to go ahead and remove that. And now I'm actually going to do a little thinning. You got a lot of what we call water sprouts coming up, going straight up. We don't really need that. And again, a lot of water sprouts is going to cause a lot of foliage. It's going to shade out a lot of fruit. So we're actually going to do a little thinning now. We broke a few branches, but that's fine. We don't need a lot of growth coming back toward the middle. Here, we want all our growth going on the outside and going out. And here you got your different branches. Some are going down. Going down really doesn't do as much good. All that is going to put fruit laying on the ground. But we've got a nice branch coming up, and then it's going out. We also want to think about competition. These two limbs are actually rubbing against each other. So we don't need all these limbs at the same time. We'll get all this here in the middle, as you can see, growing up. We left a good limb here. We want to do, that looks good there. This probably will grow into each other later on. But we'll take all this central leader competition out. We don't need that. And you can see how long these suckers are. That's a lot of growth in 1 year. That's a lot of energy. We don't want a lot of energy going into that new growth.
That's 10 feet, easily.
We want that growth going into the fruit, produce good fruit.
That's right, need bigger pears.
Bigger pears. So you got all this growth coming out here. That looks fairly well. I still don't want a lot coming inside. If for some reason this limb was bad and we wanted to go more out, we actually do a bench cut and take it off right here, and that would make our wave of our limbs to continue. I like that though, where we're at.
It's a good branch to demonstrate because of the view of it here.
We're just gonna thin, and we'll probably have some sprouts come back, but I'm trying to cut as close as possible to reduce that. Damaged wood right here. I mean, I don't really like that limb.
You don't like that limb?
I don't come and cut that one.
Glad he doesn't like me.
Always important to have good sharp shears and saws, make good clean cuts so you don't create any kind of wounds down the road.
Unlike my chainsaw, which struggled to get through that pear tree upside down.
We could leave that for now. You can see, let me see if I can demonstrate this with the camera while we're on it. See how tall that growth is? Still want to grow up. So, Doug, can you use that, hold that? I'm gonna cut these back. I'm gonna do a heading cut. In this case, I got a bud right here going this way. That's where I want the limb to go. So I'm gonna make a cut right here above that bud.
That means the next long limb is going to try to go down from there.
And it's going to go up in that direction. Sure. We could do the same thing up here. And do the same thing. Maybe I want some growth coming this way. Cut right there. That also reduces the height. You know, we don't want Doug out here with the ladder picking pears up here. All the fruit needs to be about head high, and so we're actually reducing the height. Pears get out of hand. This is a pear apple, easily can be 40 feet tall.
And this tree, I'll tell you, this tree was, you can see where this tree was cut back 2 years ago.
And look at how it responded.
It's doubled in height in 24 months.
And that's why a lot of people like the dwarf trees. Understand when you buy a pear tree, apple tree, whatever it says, dwarf, it's always smaller than the parent. So if the parent's 40 feet tall, dwarf could be 39 feet. So don't let the dwarf doesn't always mean 4, 6 feet, 10 feet tall. The rootstock it's put on dictates the actual height. So do your homework, find out what varieties are. Be careful what you buy.
We've got the kind of the finished product here. Got me a little worm climbing around in that tree cutting things down, but you want to go over and kind of explain what we did here, and then we'll show the finished product.
We did some things sort of drastic, and when we do these pruning workshops and talks and all that, a lot of people get a little upset. We've taken so much out, so don't cry too much. But what this is a lot of times when trees are neglected over years, or if you inherit a piece of property where a tree has not been pruned properly, then you have to do something drastic to save it, to make it more productive. So you can see that we've taken a lot of limbs, we took a lot of central leaders out, we did a lot of thinning. We actually did some heading cut, especially to the top, to try to bring that height down and cause some more lateral branches versus branching go all the way up. So, you know, in a couple of years, this tree will actually be much better later on.
I kind of understand now that you've explained it, you know, about how to do those cuts above and below buds, so that you want to direct that bud for lateral growth as opposed to that straight vertical growth. And one of the things you pointed out, Shane, right here, there's a very bare area in the tree due to just foliage, overproduction of foliage, and a lack of proper pruning. But what we've done by cutting this off is we've encouraged sunlight and growth in this area, and you said that a lot of these things, this should push and break out sprouts and buds there over the next year or two, and kind of fill this in, and we can get more of a that pyramid effect you're talking about of the tree.
That's right, and we don't want to ignore it. Our work is not done. So this summer, as it starts growing, you'll want to start picking out those branches, because this tree will respond drastically to try to grow back everything we took out.
Tell me about, as far as spring and summer pruning. I mean, this is a time of year to do this kind of pruning. But as far as the lighter, more specific grooming of the tree, what do I want to look for? You know, once things start to break and bud out in the spring and the summer.
The key is that training, because when all this growth we took out is all hardened off right now. But when it's young and tender, these sprouts come out, and it wants to come out in a couple feet, and it may grow several feet a year. You see how long some of these are? It's going to turn and go straight up. But it's young and tender, so we can actually bring that limb down at the proper angles with some branching, some weights and things like that.
And is that the best way? Do you hang weights on the tree? Do you use strings to stretch it?
A lot of people use what's called spreaders. It could be just a piece of stick, a piece of wire,
like a fork,
and just push it down so that the angle's this way. You're just changing the angle just a little bit, but that drastically changes the way it grows and the strength of that limb. And so you just have to watch it, and then if you need to do some pruning and cutting, you can do that.
To show too. If you can, I don't know how well you can see this, but here's 3 of those tall straight leaders that Shane was talking about. These are every bit of 10, 11 feet, and that's a year of growth almost, maybe
2, 3 years.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I cut this back 2 years ago hard.
Right.
And this is 2 years of growth, and this thing put out 10 or 12 foot shoots straight up.
That's right. And so if you want to do something throughout the year, as this grows, you can top it. Use pruning to your advantage. When you prune to make it more bushier. You cause those buds to break and to go the direction you want. Otherwise, it's going to continue to just go straight up.
Sure. Well, I appreciate this. I appreciate you coming out here, and I hope that this helps some people.
You can read about it on the internet, on papers, publications. We have information on all that, but it's a lot easier to show folks and show exactly what you make a cut. Don't be afraid to get in there and try something. The tree will respond, but anything we can do to help, let us know. For Tallapoosa County Extension, you can go to www.aces.edu. County site will be /Tallapoosa. We're here to serve you and help you any way we can.